Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is John Young with the Disc Jockey News and Disc Jockey News TV. And tonight we're having an industry chat, and I've got my good friend Casey. Good evening, Casey.
Good evening, John, and everybody watching.
Yes. This is the time of the year where we're running crazy, busy left and right, and your schedule. You have been probably one of the busiest guys I know.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate. 2014, 2015 has been a very big growth period for our company. We acquired a flower shop. We acquired a photography studio. We acquired a silk screening shop, and then we opened up a on-location hair and makeup company. So it's been busy. It's been very busy, in addition to our other companies.
Wow. I knew a couple of those, but I hadn't known the whole scope of what you guys have added, because since our last conversation, you've been a busy boy.
I have been.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, tonight what we want to talk about is one of the discussions that's been going on online is about the need or the benefits of additional training for DJs. And Casey and I have both been to 3 or 4 conventions over our lives.
A few.
Yeah. And I wanted to kind of get Casey, get your thoughts on, as someone who's not only, let's look at it from the attendee side of it, and then also from the presenter side, because you've spoken at numerous conventions around the country, and try to give the people a little bit of an insider perspective.
Well, here's the first thing. The statistics show that only 5% of the American public will take continued education, training, seminars, what have you, that are not required by their profession. Mm-hmm. CPAs, lawyers, nurses, doctors are required to have ongoing training as part of their licensing and certification. If you're in an industry, the disc jockey industry being one of them, photography another one, floral another one, that doesn't require it because there's typically nothing. You're not dealing with the public in any kind of a risk situation.
Right.
They don't require it. So the statistics show that only 5% will. And right now in our industry, if you say that there's 100,000 DJs, from starting DJs in their teenage years to seasoned DJs that think they know it all, that if you have 100,000 in this country, that only gives you 5,000 DJs attending workshops, seminars, conventions and such. And
yes,
to me, it's disappointing. I think that I am where I am success-wise because of the training that I've gotten from seminars, workshops, DVDs, things along those lines, all of which were catalysts for me going to my very first DJ Expo in the late 80s. Yeah. I'm a junkie. I admit it. I love them. I absolutely do love them. I've sat through some of the worst seminars in the world, but I'm always able to pull a nugget out of it. And, every trip for me is rewarding in some capacity. Even if it wasn't a great show, it still gets my juices flowing, where I'm taken out of the office. It allows me to recharge my batteries, focus on things that I know we should be doing, open up my notebook and really put together a list of goals and things that I know that we could be doing better, should be doing it all, and kind of going from there.
Yeah, and I think that recharging the battery is a huge component of why seeing friends recharging batteries is one of the things that I really, really like to get or do at these shows, because when I put early in the shows, I put all of my excitement into, oh my gosh, I'm going to learn 45 different things from all these seminars. And as you mentioned, sometimes the seminars just aren't the greatest. I can still learn something, but they're maybe not. And I set my expectations so high with some of those that there was a level of disappointment. And I think that can have an effect. But now that I'm more seasoned, we'll call it, in the industry, sure, I set my expectations at different levels. And really, even some of the weaker shows that are out there in the last 5 years that I've attended, I've still come away feeling fulfilled and that it was worth my money because my expectations, and I've learned how to get the most out of them. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes total sense. And again, going in to the shows as a young man, it was like drinking from the fire hose. I mean, I couldn't get enough of it. And again, back in those days, I was spinning on vinyl and they were first introducing CDs. I was at the Los Angeles DJ Time Show where Jim Robinson first introduced promo only to the world, which is now the industry standard,
Yeah.
or one of them. I saw Carl Detkin present the first DVD-J video DVD mixing platter modeled after the CDJ 1000, and was blown away by that. I mean, I've seen so many things first as a attendee at the shows, not to mention the little things that you learn walking the show floor, having coffee, meeting random strangers, wearing an expo pass in the elevators, waiting in line at the coffee shop, whatever it is. You strike up a conversation, and the next thing you know, you've got somebody that's a friend or a colleague for life. And especially the social media, you just pop them a quick note, and next thing you know, you're talking about marketing or entertainment or design or whatever it might be, and that's it.
Yeah, and I think that's a part that a lot of, especially newer people, are not taking advantage of, is that little connection time to talk to people in the halls, and to come up to someone like yourself or myself or others and just say hey and introduce yourself, and sometimes it's share, sometimes it's ask questions. A 5-minute conversation. Some of those have been some of my greatest ideas coming from shows probably in the last 5 years. And those are valuable on both sides. And I really feel bad for those people who don't take advantage of that.
Well, even you and I, for a long time, knew of each other from going to shows, and we're Facebook friends, and I read your newspaper, but it wasn't until we were sitting next to each other on a plane going to Atlantic City that we really got to know a lot more about each other. And, it's caused me to, it was the catalyst that became you inviting me to write for your publication, and I love doing it. And, so again, it's just about relationships.
It really is.
I also view it as, it's like a concert. You can watch it on DVD or you can stream it online, but there's something different about the energy of it. You see people excited, you see people motivated, and you can't get that following a Facebook group. You can't get that even talking to people afterwards and reading their reviews of the show. There is a certain energy to it, and for me, it just recharges my batteries. It shows me how much further along I am than some of the younger Casey's that, were like how I was in my 20s.
Yeah. And
then you meet some really amazing people that are just doing some amazing stuff, and you go from there. So it's, for me, it's been invaluable.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know if I'd be in this business still if it wasn't for going to DJ shows.
I think that's a fair statement. As I look at it, I felt that on quite a few occasions. If it wouldn't be for the experience with DJ Expo and the Las Vegas DJ shows that go on, we would be completely different people, probably doing something different. And, for all we know, we might be asking if they want fries with that.
Right. You know what? And I think all of us got into the DJ industry by accident.
Yeah.
But just one of those things that as a result of it, it is what it is. And so I'm going to make the most of it and be as good as I possibly can at it.
Yeah.
So.
And one of the components that I really enjoy at shows is to be able to share an experience with others within the industry who have a passion for it like I do. As an example, at the Las Vegas DJ show last year when Big Daddy was up there and he was talking about passion and he was up there sharing some things and he got into some things with family, which of course family's very big with myself. And as we left the room, to be able to look across at different friends in the room and be able to really use that as a connecting point and talk about some different things, and in that moment or the few moments thereafter, it was just a really cool bonding time that you can't do online. You can't do via phone, or we can't even do it via Skype. And I walked away, really, I felt having some deeper connections with a couple of people because of those moments.
I agree. And for those of you watching this that are thinking that, well, that's great, but I don't want to sing Kumbaya around the turntable, I get that too.
Yeah.
But again, this is just one of the, let's say, 100 different components that go into a DJ show that you just, in my opinion, you need to attend at least one a year. I mean, you just owe it to yourself. You owe it to your craft. You owe it to yourself just to carve out the time and figure out which show is going to be best for your schedule, what you feel you're going to learn, where you think you're going to learn the most from. Maybe it's driving to a regional show. Maybe it's, always wanting to go see the East Coast or go out to Vegas, whatever it might be. But there are so many components to a show that it's just really difficult to say, well, why do you go?
Yeah.
I go for a million reasons. Go on.
Yeah, I think that's a very good statement. There's a million reasons, and we could list a few, and when we get there, the more comes to us, and it's really kind of a lifestyle that a lifestyle road that we go down, and the conventions are part of that.
Yeah, and I think that again, if every decision we make in life is based on pain versus pleasure, and in our industry, there seems to be this. I'm not going to learn anything. It's going to be a waste of my time. It's going to be a waste of my money. And the question being is, if you carve out $3,000, and if the Knot.com says that the average wedding is $1,200 now, if you can't find three things to make yourself better enough to get 3 weddings, then you're just not engaged in it. Yes. I mean, to me, it's just a no-brainer. It really is a total no-brainer to attend shows.
Yeah, and we haven't even touched on the. You mentioned a little bit to some of the new gear that was displayed at the show, but I mean this is just the educational side of it. And we look at DJ Expo coming up here in a couple of weeks, and I know already that there's probably about 40 to 50 new items that are going to be debuted at that show in the exhibit hall, which
Absolutely.
is you can't find that. You can't put your hands on it online.
You're an old timer, so you remember when Beatkeeper was introduced as a one rack space thing, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, it'll tell us the BPMs per minute. This is the greatest thing." It was like all of a sudden you had a speedometer. That's all standard now. It's all part of the what do you call it? It's all part of every piece of software in Serato and Virtual DJ. It just became the standard. And I remember these guys with a one little single booth that were buying it, and they sold out of every single one of them.
Yeah, the guys were excited.
And then I think Newmark bought the technology from them, and that was the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's crazy how things start. And then again, I remember going. It was 1990 something, and I remember asking Jeff Green if he's ever heard of this new song coming out called the Macarena. And he starts smiling and goes, "Yeah, my sister and I are going to actually be doing it at the opening night party."
Sure.
And sure enough, I learned it there before probably I was probably 2 months in front of my competition, or at least a solid month in front. So I had the song. They were selling, I'm sure, legal copies of it, but But the fact of the matter is, again, I saw it there first.
Yeah.
One of my DJs debuted the Cha-Cha Slide there, before it was all over the country, and now it's a party staple. So again, those are just 2 or 3 simple little things that me being at the expo gave me a big advantage over my competition.
Very much so. And that's a good way to say it.
Yeah. And now you turn around and talk about all of the marketing techniques I've learned, all the sales techniques I've learned, all the entertainment techniques, games, dances, lighting techniques. It's endless. And again, every show has their strength and their weakness, but not going is probably the weakest thing you can do for your business.
Yeah, I think that's using all the little different things as excuses and crutches for why you don't go and why you don't invest. And I mean, there's a million reasons why not to, but as you mentioned at the beginning of this, is that professionals who take their industry seriously, they do these types of things. And yeah, only 5% do, but that 5% are generally the upper echelon of their industry.
Right, and again, I don't think it's a boys' club, but I think that if you look at who's writing in the magazines, who's being written up in the magazines, who's speaking at conventions, they tend to be your top of that 5,000. And I'm not patting myself on the back by any means being one of those speakers. It's just I love this business. I like to give back to this business. So the powers that be think that what I have to say is relatively valuable to the attendees, and as do you, allowing me to write for your publication, and I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, and it
So
takes people with like yourself with a passion to give back, and that's been something that was debated. You know, the whole. You know, why are these people giving back? It's something I think that a lot of people who are struggling and trying to make it the climb and continuing to do the same thing because they haven't had that additional influence in their lives. Those people haven't reached that point where they have been helped by others. It's that whole
right.
kind of pay it forward, I think, way is that you and I have been helped by others and we've learned from others.
Sure.
Now it's our turn to hopefully give back to the next generation.
Well, there's also that theory that what James Brown said. I taught them everything that they know. That doesn't mean I've taught them everything I know.
I love that quote.
So, but no, I mean, again, we've got two shows coming up next month that are absolutely killer in two different ways. DJ Times DJ Expo is a staple on the East Coast. You've been there a million times.
Yeah.
I've been there a million times. There is something wonderfully welcoming about the smell of the dirty salt air on the New Jersey boardwalk, followed by seagulls attacking you as you're eating your funnel cake, and just enjoying the cheesiness of the New Jersey boardwalk.
Yeah.
Atlantic City's come a long way since the 90s when they first started, and you were scared you were going to get mugged walking down the boardwalk. But, the Taj Mahal is a great venue for it, and it's a great time. And the show floor, it is the standard. The show floor in Atlantic City is probably second to none, only to LDI and NAMM.
Yeah.
So that's it, and those aren't usually available to end users. So if you're on the East Coast, you're crazy not to make the drive-in.
Oh,
and
for
if
sure.
you're on the West Coast, you should consider as well if you're a gear junkie. Now, the other show next month, as we know, is in Las Vegas, hosted by the American DJ Association, the Las Vegas DJ Show, and Dr. Drax has he's put together the Lollapalooza of education. You have the best people in the country speaking at that show, and it's you have every aspect covered, from mixing and scratching to Michael Buffer as the keynote, to Andy Ebon and Alan Berg speaking on marketing, as well as myself and Mike Walter, Randy Bartlett, Peter Mary. I mean, it's the quintessential. If you want to take your business to the next level, that's a show you can't miss. And I think both of these shows are $200 or less to buy an Expo pass for.
Yeah.
For $200, and I think DJ Expo is like $109 for a hotel room, and Planet Hollywood is $99. So we're not talking about huge chunks of money for hosting properties. And then, airfare to Vegas is pretty inexpensive anywhere in the country. So, like Mike Walter says, you can do two things in life, but you can't do them at the same time. And that's make excuses or make results.
Yeah.
So it's up to you as to what you want to do.
Yeah, exactly. And the opportunities are there. You and I will be at both shows, learning, networking, and really just enjoying that family reunion one more time.
Yeah, and I have the honor of speaking at both shows.
Nice.
So,
looking forward to seeing that. That'll be fun.
Yeah, Atlantic City, I'm speaking on taking your business vertical. With the amount of increased competition, your cost per acquisition is so much higher that letting them get out the door, just selling them basic DJ services, is doing yourself a disservice. So I've got some simple things that you can add right away to some complex things that you may not be ready for, may not be the right fit for your business, but it's based on what we've done in the last 5 years of growing this company.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in Las Vegas, I'm going to be presenting, it's called Mining for Bridal Show Gold. And essentially, this is going to be geared toward maximizing your investment in a bridal show booth. So if you spend $1,000 on your bridal show booth and you come out and set everything up, I'm going to tell you the typical mistakes that I see, the typical mistakes I've experienced as that guy, and how to make the most out of it. From what to look for from a show promoter to how to prepare for it, what you should do, what you should look like, common mistakes made in presentation, how important follow-up it is, how important follow-up is afterwards.
Yep.
And my goal is to help you get as much money out of it as possible.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's pretty exciting stuff.
Very nice. Very nice. Good stuff.
And I can say, because I'm also a bridal show promoter, I see a lot of the emails that are sent to me by vendors, and some of them are terrible. You know, some of the follow-up is just not good. And sadly, worse than that, some of them is non-existent.
I think that's a big part of it. A lot of people drop the opportunity ball when it comes to things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's great stuff, Casey. I appreciate your time today. We're going to put the links to the upcoming events or the upcoming shows with the DJ Expo and the Las Vegas DJ Show. We'll put those in the description down below so you can check those out, gang. But Casey and I'll be in Atlantic City. We'll be in Las Vegas. We hope to see you there. And, we can maybe get a cup of coffee and talk shop a little bit.
That would be great. I think we're on the same flight out again to Atlantic City. So
I'm looking forward to it.
We'll see you on the 10th.
That sounds great, Casey. Thank you very much for being on tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are listening to this on the podcast, if you're on iTunes, please go out there and rate the video, or I should say rate the audio on iTunes, because they will show us a little more love if you do that for us. We appreciate that. And if you're watching this and you have questions or thoughts, please go down into the comments area down below and you can add those. We'd sure like to hear from you on what your thoughts are when it comes to attending different DJ educational events. But I'm John Young with the Disc Jockey News and Disc Jockey News TV, and this is my friend KC from Chicago. We'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.